Hi everyone, this is Annie from Storyboard That. So today we're just going to go over some basics, but we have introduced this webinar series and it will go over everything today, but over the next few weeks it'll go over more specific subjects. So it'll be every Thursday and it will cover the next week's is ELA, the week after is science models, the week after social studies and history, the week after is math, and then the last week of the series is ESL and world languages. I'm just going to put the link in the chat so you can see the specific topics in the future. To access the chat from this, if you just scroll your mouse up a little, it'll give you a little more area and you can click chat. But also Dan is here and he will answer any questions that you might have over chat if I don't cover it or as I'm going along. But basically, I'm going to go over the background info of this teacher dashboard right here. And I'm going to start with adding students. So this is what your teacher dashboard looks like. You can add students in a few different ways depending on whether or not they're under the age of 13 or if you have single sign-on options. So I'm going to click Manage Students. So here, if you go down, you can add students manually. If I click Add User, I can just write in a display name, a username, and a password. And I'll just click Add, and that's it. It's added. And then if you're signed in with Google Single Sign-On, you'll see a button that says Import Roster down here. And you click that and log in, and that's it. It should import your roster. So super easy. And then the other way to add students is if you go to my dashboard and click Invite Students, you also have the option to send them this link. So this is what you would do if you have single sign-on options. We currently support Google, Microsoft, and ClassLink. So they'll go to this link. I'll show you in an incognito browser. This is what they'll see, and then if they click I'm a new user here, and then they would click to sign on with any of these if they've single sign on. Click that I've read the terms and conditions and click register. And then they'll be presented with this page, and then you've given them this information, so you just enter in that and click join. So just as an idea of what it looks like when this loads, this is what the student dashboard looks like. It'll be a lot different from your teacher dashboard. And while that loads, let me jump back to here. So once you've added students, you can then add classes. So same idea, if you go to the bottom, you click Add Class, you select which teacher, if you're in a school license or multi-teacher account, and then you enter in a class name, a class password, and click Add Class. It'll show up here. And then to add students into the class, you just go to the class in question and click Manage Users next to the class. All of your students should be listed on the right, and you can select any number of them and whichever ones, and just click this arrow over here, and now they're in the class. There's no OK button. All the changes are immediate. It'll automatically get added. If you want to change it later on, you can do that as well. Exit out of that. So pretty easy. And then finally, you have the assignments component. So if you go into View and Manage Assignments, again, same idea. You can click Add Assignment down here. You select the teacher, and then you add an assignment name, and you click Add Assignment. And then once that shows up here to add that assignment to a class, you just click Manage next to the assignment that you want. You can change things like description and instructions here. You can also add in a rubric, which is an online free rubric creator. We're integrated with Quick Rubric. And then down here, you'll see all the classes. You can select which classes you can add an assignment to, and it can be multiple assignments. And you can change your mind if you want as well. So you can have the same assignment in many classes. So once you've done that and your students save a storyboard, you can view them in a bunch of different ways. So over here on the left, you can view it by your storyboards, you can view it by assignment, by class, and by user. If your student accidentally doesn't select the assignment that it's saved under, you can also check for them in missing assignments here. So this will be what the view looks like for all your storyboards. So I don't think I've ever saved assignments, storyboards under assignments in this count, so you can see the long list of storyboards that don't have assignments. And then if you want to move a student's work to an assignment, you just click next to missing assignment up here, click change assignment, go to the drop down and pick one, click update, and it should be updated. So let's go back to the dashboard. And just to quickly address the students' questions, students can definitely be in more than one class. This is what the student dashboard looks like. And students can actually add themselves to your class as well if you don't want to add them. You see that it's very different. They have the option to create a storyboard. They'll have all their assignments listed. They'll have any storyboards they've created, and they'll have any templates that you've created. If you go down here, they can manage their classes. I'm going to click that. So here they have an option to join any number of these classes. And then they'll be asked for the password, which I gotta double check what it is. Pretty sure it's just class. Click join, and now I'm in this class. And then you can see I can join multiple classes. So if I want to join class 2 as well. And that's it. So now that I'm part of 2 classes, I'll see a whole different spread of assignments based on the classes that I've just joined. And then students can also change a few things for themselves, like their name, their display name, or the school or teacher that they're under. So going back to the teacher dashboard, now I've gone over how to organize everything with students, classes, and assignments, and how to view storyboards. So if you want to take it a step further, you can go into Storyboard Creator options. If you want to enable different keyboards for languages, you would be able to do that here. This is the list of the ones we currently support. We're integrated with Photos for Class, which is a student-safe search that grabs Creative Commons licensed images, and you can change the different settings here. You can also add different image packs depending on what your curriculum is and what subjects you're teaching. We've separated them out based on festive content and mature content. So let's go back. And if you have any questions, you can always go here. Normally this is a live chat, but since we're here on this webinar, you can leave a message as well. So now I'm going to go to the actual Storyboard Creator, and I'm going to go over both the basics as well as some advanced tricks. So this is what the actual creator looks like. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Everything is drag and drop. This is your basic 3-cell template. All of your storyboard layout options are down here. All of the content is up here. So if I go click layout, for instance, this is where I would be able to add title and description. And it's also where I would be able to change the layout based on what subject or theme I was using it with. So if I wanted to do it for history or science, I would be able to change it here. And if I want to add more than just 3 cells, I can go into add cells and I can add a ton. I can actually also keep going. I'm going to click update. And now I have an aggressive amount of cells. To get rid of them, you just go back to add cells, update, and that's it. So now that I have all these scenes up here. I'm going to drag and drop something in here. You can change all the colors associated with the scene. And then if you want to take it a step further, you can click Edit Scene. And this will let you do different things based on the scene. You can change time of day. You can change the weather. You can make the window see-through. If you have a scene that has windows in it, you can actually put something behind there. So I can drag and drop this back there and click that, and it'll automatically show up there. Same idea with different scenes. So if I drag the scene in here and click Edit Scene, you'll see I have different options here. I can get rid of the city as well, update that. And then this one also has more color options. And then if I want to put something behind those windows, I can also do that. And then you just go to Layers, Send Backwards, and now it's inside. There are also other different things based on the categories up here. We're constantly adding scenes, but each of them are smart scenes, so you'll be able to do different things based on them. There's also speech bubbles and text bubbles and screens if you want to do a digital citizenship board. A lot of people aren't aware, but there are also crowd options. So if you want to do a history board and add a crowd on top, you can do that there. I go into characters, so the same idea here. Characters you can drag and drop in. So if I drag and drop a person in here, I can change all the colors associated with their appearance. If I go into Edit Pose, I can change their facial expression. I can change the way that their arms and legs are posed. I can change the way that they're facing. Click Update that. A question we get frequently is, how do we make the character turn the other way? And there's a button right here. And if you hover over it, it says flip horizontally. That's it. And then characters are also layerable. So if you want this character to be inside, you can go to Layers, Send Backwards, and now that character is inside. You can also do things like create the illusion of foreground background. If I want to drag and drop this character in here, change all the colors associated with their appearance, go into Edit Pose, have it so she's facing backwards, Update Pose. Here I'm going to show you the crop option, so that's this button here. It'll show you what the character looks like in regards to the scene now, but if I want to just crop it up to her shoulders and then resize, now there's the illusion that she's in the foreground and he's in the background. And then you can even do more things beyond that. So if I click on this scene and go to Filters, I can do things like blur that. So now this specific character is in focus. And it's the same idea for all of the other sections that we have up here. They are all posable and changeable, and even with the Animals tab, for instance. If I want to drag this cute little corgi down here, I can go click Image Options, and I can change it so it's a happy sleeping corgi. Update. Resize that. So textables are what it sounds like. Speech bubbles, thought bubbles, there's comic bubbles, there's sign bubbles, and this is in addition to the title and description that you can add. But basically, you can change things like the color of the speech bubble. You can change things like the font text. You can change things like the size. You can also do different formatting and alignment. And if you're doing a foreign language board, there's an accent box, so very easy to do French and Spanish and any other language with those accents. You can also change it so different parts of the text are different sizes now, so you can format within the actual text box itself. That's pretty new. Shapes are pretty self-explanatory. Typically, math teachers use these. We also have things like symbols. If I go into web and technology, this is for stats classes and for making posters. They also have options. So if I drag this in here, If I go into image options, I can add more or less, and then I can use it to show like 2 out of 5 people prefer this. We also have emojis, and we also have things like wireframes. So again, if you're doing cyberbullying boards or digital safety boards, you would be able to do that here. Science has its own tab now, and I'm actually just going to add another cell. And if I drag this brain in here, you can actually do things like change the different colors of the sections and have students label it in here. And if I go into astronomy and space, here's another example. If I drag down this moon, click image options, I can change the phases of the moon. So definitely play around with it and see all the different options for both smart items and scenes. And then you can also upload your own image here. So a question that we got asked as part of the sign-up process was if you can resize images that you upload, which you definitely can. I just have to find something to upload. Great, so now it's here. You can drag and drop it in here, and you can resize it, just like you would a normal image in the Storyboard Creator. You can also do layering with it. You can also filter it. You can also undo if you have made a terrible mistake with that filter. And then the search box. So if you search for something up here, it'll give you a little search tip since this is an animals section based item, but it'll give you a few things in our creator, and then it'll give you a few images from Creative Commons licensed images and sources like the Royal British Archives or the Library of Congress. And if I drag and drop something in here, it will automatically cite it down here. So that's pretty useful. Another quick thing is if you have already created a character and you want them in different scenes, you don't have to recreate the entire character. You can actually just click this copy button here, and then you can move them over. And if you want to delete different things, you can select them all and delete them. And then also with scenes, you can actually copy the entire cell over. So I'm going to go down here and click copy cells. I'm going to click this to copy. I'm going to click this to copy into, and then you'll have an option of replacing the content that's already in there or adding the content on top. So I'm just going to replace it in here. And now it's in both. Click done. And I'm just going to save it. And now that I'm saving it, if I go to this drop down, I can choose whatever assignment or add a title and description. A quick thing, since this is coming up in the chat, you can totally add a few more things. Here again is the add cells button if I want to add like another 2. And let me just drag in some random stuff like this classical bedroom or this football field. So yeah, you can continue to add stuff here. And now I'm going to save it and show you different ways to present or share it with the class. So here you have a multi-celled storyboard. Great. So you can do stuff like you can print it. You can click the print button and it'll give you different options for layout. If I want to print things like worksheets, I would be able to do that here. And I can also export it. If I click download images / PowerPoint, I can export it as an image to social media, as a PDF, or as PowerPoint. If you're on a Chromebook, it actually automatically exports as Google Slides. Alternatively, you can present right from in here if you click slideshow. So right from in here, you can present things. You can also pull the embed code if you change the privacy on it. If you want to put it into an LMS, you would just be able to click that there. And then if you want your students to be able to save on top of this as a template, and I'll show you examples of templates, you can click Convert Storyboard to Template. And now up here, it'll say this is a template. This template can be viewed by your entire group. So now anyone that has this in their assignment can save their own versions on top of it. If you go down here, you will see a search bar that we have for our teacher resources and lesson plans. So if I want to search for something like science, I can search here and it'll give me different areas. If I click on the actual science tab, it'll take me to the teaching page, and then it'll give me all the lesson plans that are related to it. So this is an example of a science teacher guide. If you go down, it'll give you the grade level, difficulty level, type of assignment. It'll give you an overview of the entire activity, and it'll give you an example of a finished one. And you can actually copy the entire assignment if you want to. If you go down, here's another example. If you like the assignment, you can actually check for the template and class instructions. So that's a totally blank one. And it'll also give you a rubric. So these are also things that you can customize and edit, but this is a basic one created by the teacher who made this lesson plan. But as I keep scrolling through, you can kind of see how there's a ton of different areas and content. And you can actually go to the full list here. So these are all the subjects that we cover. We're constantly expanding on it. And now I'm just going to go over an ELA guide since they also look a little bit different. So this is our Great Gatsby lesson plan, and here you can also see that we've aligned it to Common Core standards. So if you go down, this will go over the plot diagram. Again, it'll give you the completed version. And this is as open-ended as you want it to be. If you want your students to only fill in parts of it, you can leave like the description blank, or you can leave the storyboard blank, and they can use that as a template instead. This character template is one that's definitely more template focused. It's really helpful when you have a subject or a work of literature that has multiple characters. So here you would be able to assign this as a base template for your students to use, and they would save on top of it. So if I go through template and class instructions, you'll see that each of these have it. Some of these rubrics are more in depth than others. And then if you want to do something that isn't an existing teacher guide, but you just want some kind of guidance, there is also our blog. So if I go to the dashboard, scroll down, if you click View Lesson Plans and Activities, it actually gives you all of these. We've also recently added illustrated guides, so these are a little bit different than our typical lesson plans. But if I go into one like influential people, for instance, it gives you all of them. Just go into one here. And this is pretty useful as a quick study guide for students. And since I'm on a John Locke board, I can also show you some history boards, since that will give you a good idea of a timeline. So here's a World War II teacher guide. Again, same idea, reference, grade level, difficulty level. This is an interesting way of using different layouts. And then here's the timeline. So different teachers like doing different things with it. One that's really popular is teachers will enter in the dates of important events and then have their students fill in the rest of it. So these are two examples of completed timelines. But I want to leave some time for specific questions at the end, and we're kind of coming up on our end of the half-hour segment. All of what I said should be available on a recording, hopefully. I will double check, but we should be able to send that out. And hopefully you've had a lot of questions answered in the chat. You can upload work to other programs for app smashing, or if you want to do anything else. If I click here, for instance, and I scroll all the way to the bottom, and I click download, and I export it as anything, I can then import it into something else, or upload it into something else. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions? I'm actually gonna see if Dan wants to put his headset on, since I've been talking for a long time and I'm sure you're sick of my voice.
Great. Well, I saw some great questions. Hopefully, I was a little bit of a help to you guys. I'd love to answer, any more that you guys do have. I know I mentioned my email address in there. If you guys have any other questions, love to help you out. That is a great question. Yeah, we do webinars for individual institutions. It's a great question. You're awesome too, I'm Steen. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so if it looks like that's it, we are going to end the session. And yeah, again, take a look at our teacher webinars list, which I'll repost again. Looking for specific ideas for specific content. I don't think it will necessarily.
So our next webinar will be someone else from our team, very credible. It'll either be myself or someone else in another department. We'll be doing these quite frequently with ELA content specific. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.